You've probably seen it, right? All of a sudden, red light therapy seems to be absolutely everywhere. It's in gyms, spas, and it's definitely all over your social media feed. People are promising everything from smoother skin to healing injuries faster. So, what is the real story behind all this glow? And that's the big question, isn't it? When you see these glowing red panels, you have to wonder, are we looking at a real medical breakthrough here? Or is this just the latest wellness trend that's, more flash than substance? That's exactly what we're going to dig into. Okay, so to get to the bottom of this, we first have to figure out what everyone is even talking about. What in the world is red light therapy? Well, in a nutshell, red light therapy, or RLT for short, uses very specific low-level wavelengths of red light to do its thing. And just to be clear, this is not a tanning bed. It doesn't use UV light and it doesn't get hot. The really sciencey name for it is photobiomodulation. But, the origins of this whole thing are actually pretty surprising. Yeah, this technology wasn't dreamed up in some fancy beauty clinic. Its story actually starts with some lab rats and then takes a giant leap all the way out into space. So get this, it all started back in 1967, completely by accident. A scientist named Andre Meister noticed that a low-level laser was helping rats heal faster and even grow their hair back. Then, you fast forward to the 90s, and NASA's trying to figure out how to grow potatoes in space. They're using these red LEDs, and the astronauts start noticing that little cuts on their hands are healing way quicker under these lights. Crazy, right? So from there, researchers started thinking, what could this do for us back on Earth? Okay, but that's the big question, right? It sounds a little bit like science fiction. How can just shining a light on your skin actually cause a physical change inside your body? The best way to think about it is like a battery charger, but for your cells. That red light can actually penetrate your skin, and it gets absorbed by the mitochondria. You remember those, the little powerhouses inside every one of your cells? This absorption gives them a jolt, stimulating them to produce more ATP. And ATP is basically the energy currency that cells use to do all their important jobs, like repairing damage and rejuvenating themselves. So with that whole cellular battery charge idea in mind, you can start to see why the list of potential benefits is so incredibly long. I mean, if you're giving cells more energy, you could theoretically improve a whole lot of different things. And yeah, the list is pretty impressive. Studies have suggested that RLT might help with all sorts of stuff, improving your skin by building collagen, helping wounds heal faster, and even reducing things like psoriasis lesions. It's also being looked at for improving hair growth, relieving pain and inflammation, and even helping to reduce some of the side effects from cancer treatments. But, and this is a really big but, here comes the reality check. As our source material from Healthline points out, while a lot of studies are promising, the whole field is still pretty controversial. A lot of the research we have right now uses small sample sizes or was done on animals. And that's why pretty much all scientists agree that we need more robust, large-scale human trials before we can call any of this truly definitive. And of course, with any treatment, especially one you can just buy online, we have to talk about the risks. So let's take a hard look at the downsides and the reality of using this stuff. What to know before you glow. So on one side, you have these amazing promises, smoother skin, less pain, and it's all non-invasive. But on the other side, the hurdles are very real. The results can be super inconsistent from person to person. There is a real risk of burns and blisters if you use the devices improperly. You absolutely have to protect your eyes. And a big one for a lot of people, it's almost never covered by insurance. And about that burn risk, I want to be specific. The sources talk about people getting burns after using a device for way longer than recommended. We're talking over 30 minutes, or even from falling asleep with a unit still on them. It is a very clear case where following the instructions is critical, and more is definitely not better. And look, this is not for everybody. The American Academy of Dermatology says certain groups need to be really cautious. This includes people with darker skin tones who can actually be more sensitive to visible light. It also includes anyone taking medications that increase your sensitivity to light, or people who have medical conditions that do the same thing. So after all that, what is the final verdict? Should you jump on the red light bandwagon? Let's try to boil this all down to the most important takeaway. Seriously, if there is one thing, just one thing you take away from this entire explainer, please let it be this. Before you try any new treatment, especially one with this many unanswered questions, talk to a doctor. Or talk to a board-certified dermatologist. They're the ones who can look at your specific health history and help you figure out if RLT is a safe and potentially good option for you. So here it is, our final scorecard. The potential upside? It's there. We've got promising early results for skin, inflammation, and healing. But the key things to consider are the cost, which is usually out of pocket, and the time commitment. You often need a lot of sessions. And the expert consensus? Frankly, the jury's still out. We need more solid evidence before we can move these claims from promising to proven. Which really just leaves us with this final question. We have this technology that was born from an accident, tested in space by NASA, and is now available to pretty much anyone. But will it stand the test of time and rigorous scientific research to become a mainstream medical treatment? Or will it just fade away as another well-marketed, well-lit fad? I guess only more research and time will tell.